The second day of General Debates of the United Nations General Assembly 80th session continues this Wednesday. The Ecuadorian National Police registered 6,020 murders, 24 homicides per day from January to August 2025. And in the last 24 hours, the Israeli army killed more than 30 Palestinians during its attacks. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The highlight of the week, the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly continues on its second day of general debates this Wednesday as world leaders focus their speeches on peace efforts, development and also human rights. Among the core themes of the speeches are threats to international peace and the need for cooperation in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. For this, each representative will present their perspectives on global challenges, particularly the need for international cooperation, to uphold the principles of the United Nations Charter. And in this framework, and ahead also of the COP30 climate summit will be held to propose ideas to drive actions in critical areas of climate issues. In this context, the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, condemned the Israeli aggressions against Middle Eastern countries, denouncing the attacks on Iranian territories and also the ceasefire negotiation committee in Qatar.
The aerial assaults of the Zionist regime and the United States of America against Iran's cities, homes, and infrastructures, precisely at a time when we were treading the path of diplomatic negotiations, constituted a grave betrayal of diplomacy and a subversion of efforts towards the establishment of stability and peace. Finally, Iran condemns the criminal aggression of the Israeli regime against Qatar, which resulted in the martyrdom of a number of Palestinian and Qatari nationals, and declares its support and solidarity with the government and people of Qatar. Ladies and gentlemen, true security is not achieved through force, but through confidence building, mutual respect, regional convergence, and multilateralism grounded in international laws.
Moreover, the Iranian head of state defended his country's right to nuclear development for peaceful purposes, stressing the nation does not seek to build nuclear weapons.
Hereby declare once more before this assembly that Iran has never sought and will never seek to build a nuclear bomb. We do not seek nuclear weapons. This is our belief based on the edict issued by the supreme leader and by religious authorities. Therefore, we never sought weapons of mass destruction, nor will we ever seek them. Whereas those who disturb the peace and stability in the region lies in Israel, but Iran is the one that is being punished for those.
For his part, King Felipe VI of Spain demanded that the Israeli government find a solution to the conflict with Palestine. The monarch emphasized that the violence in Gaza constitutes a flagrant violation of the principles of the United Nations.
Spain will continue to support all efforts aimed at achieving a just and lasting peace, grounded in the principles of international law, respect for human rights, and accountability. We also see this in its full severity in the Middle East, in Palestine, in the Gaza Strip. We cannot remain silent or look away from the devastation, the bombings, including of hospitals, schools, and places of refuge. In light of the countless civilian deaths, famine, starvation, the forced displacement of hundreds of thousands of people. To what end? These are abhorrent acts that stand in stark contrast to everything that...
In this framework, the President of Kenya, William Ruto, demanded more equity and representation for African nations in the United Nations.
For 2 decades, Africa has spoken in one voice, demanding justice, equity, and representation in the highest organ of global governance. This demand, however, continues to be ignored, deferred, or endlessly debated to the detriment of both Africa and the legitimacy of the United Nations itself. You cannot claim to be the United Nations while disregarding the voice of 54 nations. It is not possible. Africa is no longer willing to wait on the margins of global governance while decisions about peace, security, and development are made without our understanding, without our perspectives, and without our voice.
Speaking from the Consulate of Venezuela in New York, Minister of Foreign Affairs Ivan Gil denounced a false narrative that uses the fight against drug trafficking as a justification for the U.S. military deployment in the Caribbean. The minister highlights that the United Nations General Assembly has demonstrated the solidarity of the world with Venezuela's right to peace and also to sovereignty.
There is a message to the international community that this madness must be stopped, the threats must be stopped, the use of force, or the threat of force against a free and sovereign country must be stopped. And I think that is very clear and already well accepted by the international community, that this cannot happen. CELAC itself condemned it at Monday's CELAC meeting, where all countries unanimously declared the protection of the Latin American peace.
In addition, Ivan Gil denounced the economic blockade against Cuba and Venezuela's support for the end of this unjust policy.
The struggle of the Cuban people is the struggle of the Venezuelan people. The aggression against Venezuela is precisely an aggression against the Cuban people and the revolutionary government of Cuba. All the peoples of the world have asked almost unanimously, we could say unanimously, for an immediate end to the blockade, an end to the policy of harassment, and for Cuba to be removed from the spurious list of states that allegedly sponsor terrorism. Venezuela has a very clear position in defense of international law, in defense of legality, in defense of the Cuban people, and in defense of their revolution.
And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Ecuador, the national police recorded 6,020 murders, meaning 24 homicides per day from January to August 2025. The official statistics are the result of President Daniel Noboa's administration and represent a 42% increase compared to the first 8 months of 2024. Until now, 2023 was classified as the most violent year in the country, but with President Noboa's plans, the figures have skyrocketed in 2025, setting a new record for homicides in Ecuador's recent history. The declaration of internal armed conflict and the increase in value-added tax to 15% did not achieve the results promised by the president and has positioned Ecuador as the most violent country in the region. United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has warned about the high rate of minors' murders due to escalating violence in Haiti. Precisely, the UNICEF report unveiled that violence in the Caribbean nation has claimed the life of a child per day in the last 10 days. In this sense, the United Nations agency expressed its deepest consternation about the assassination of 10 children in the Simon Pelé community located in Cité Soleil, the biggest neighborhood in the capital Port-au-Prince. The incident reportedly took place on September 20th during a birthday party when a drone operated by mercenaries to the service of Blackwater founder Eric Prince, together with the Haitian police, impacted against the residential area. In this context, human rights organizations have denounced the silence of authorities over 72 hours after the incident, demanding the government launches an investigation into the matter. We go to Venezuela now, where President Nicolás Maduro announced that the 4 state powers are analyzing a constitutional decree of foreign commotion in response to threats from the Donald Trump administration. This announcement was made during the State Council meeting, where President Maduro also referred to a set of constitutional and legal measures that will enable the Venezuelan state to respond to any act of aggression. Maduro justified these decisions in light of mounting threats and the false narrative surrounding his country, his people, and his government, which is being promoted by the national far right. The figure analyzed by the state's power is provided for in Article 388 of the National Constitution.
Nacional por la soberanía y la paz, que felizmente fue convocado.
National Council for Sovereignty and Peace, which was successfully convened by the National Assembly, the Republican legislative power of the nation, and which has insisted with its legal teams to prepare several decrees to be legally ready and able to respond. So like this decree that has been proposed, and we are going to debate it today, as this one there are several others for any scenario that arises. Venezuela will come out ahead again. We will come out ahead. And the trials that life throws at us will strengthen us and will give us a more united and wise people. And God's blessings are always with us and will always be with us.
Y las bendiciones de Dios siempre nos acompañan y siempre.
In other informations, the Mexican Secretariat of Foreign Affairs expressed its deep regret over the death of Mexican national on September 22nd at the Adelanto Processing Center while in the custody of United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. According to ICE authorities, the death occurred due to medical complications. In this scenario, the Mexican Secretariat has indicated that the Mexican consulate in San Bernardino is in contact with the center to ensure a thorough investigation to clarify the circumstances of the death. It has also committed to provide legal assistance and consular support to the relatives of the deceased. On Wednesday, Brazilian authorities reported that 4 people had died in the explosion of a small plane. The aircraft crash occurred on Tuesday night while landing in the Pantanal region of Mato Grosso do Sul. Among the dead are the Chinese architect and urban planner Kong Jian-ju, the pilot and owner of the plane, Marcelo Pereira de Barros, and the documentary filmmakers Luis Fernando Ferez da Cunha Ferraz and Rubens Crispim Jr. The architect Kong Jian-ju is internationally recognized for the developing of the sponge city concept, which is fundamental to adapting to climate change. The causes of the accident are still under investigation. After this information, we are heading for a second short break. But before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In the last 24 hours, the Israeli army killed more than 30 Palestinians during its attacks. Medical sources indicated that 37 bodies, including 4 recovered from under the rubble, and 175 injured people were transferred to hospitals in Gaza during the last 24 hours. They added that this toll remains incomplete, as many victims remain trapped under the rubble, inaccessible to ambulances and rescue teams due to the ongoing aggression. The death toll in the Gaza Strip has reached more than 65,400, and at least another 167,160 people have also been injured since the beginning of the Israeli genocide in October 2023. To stay on topic, Israel maintains a violent siege against the Sumud flotilla. In the last few hours, its crew reported more than 10 drone attacks. In response to the serious risk to the fleet crew, they have requested that the United Nations General Assembly discuss the issue and appoint an escort of observers. In addition to unmanned drone harassment, the flotilla reports unidentified launches, communications interference, and explosions heard from several ships. The crew have asked their governments to demand that Israel respects their lives and physical integrity, and they assure that the flotilla will not return until it reaches Gaza.
I cannot move. I just gave a big head.
Change of topic. In China, the autonomous region of Xinjiang celebrates the 70th anniversary of its establishment. More on the territory's history and development with our correspondent Bruno Falsi.
The Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region has begun its commemorations for the 70th anniversary of its establishment. Recently, regarding the region, the Chinese government published a white paper, an official document that presents government policies and statistics on specific topics. According to the document, the region has 26 million inhabitants belonging to 50 ethnic groups and provide statistics on the evolution of employment and income in Xinjiang over the past few decades.
In
terms of employment, Xinjiang prioritizes job creation as essential for the livelihood of its population. Through robust economic development and increased job availability, the region continuously improves its systems to promote sufficient and high-quality jobs, while protecting the rights and interests of workers. The scale of employment in Xinjiang has grown steadily, the labor structure has been optimized, and the incomes of both urban and rural residents are increasing steadily.
Over the past 7 decades, Xinjiang, located in northwest China, has undergone profound economic and social transformation, driven by the modernization process. The region, with vast natural resources, is emerging as a dynamic economic powerhouse.
In terms of total volume, multiple economic indicators have reached historical milestones. For example, Xinjiang's gross domestic product exceeded $39 billion last year. The total volume of Xinjiang's imports and exports also reached a record $60 billion in 2024. Between 2022 and 2024, the total volume of Xinjiang's imports and exports exceeded $14 billion for 3 consecutive years.
The government white paper reports that 3 million Xinjiang residents were lifted out of poverty by 2020. Xinjiang is part of the system of autonomous region established in China, which also includes Tibet, Inner Mongolia, Guangxi, and Ningxia, territories where ethnic minorities have a significant presence. Bruno Falsi from Beijing, China, for teleSUR.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.